This is Celestine. It's a real-time granular AUv3 effect for iPad OS. You may have seen Celestine before. It started out as a Max for Live device, my most popular one to date, and many people asked me to release it for other platforms, so that's what I've been working on over the last few months. Celestine hosts a rolling buffer that is constantly listening to what you play, replenishing itself, and then spitting out grains based on whatever you feed it. It doesn't store audio for later. It's real time. It's all about the fleeting moments, the moment happening right now, the present. So let me walk you through it. I'll probably bounce around a bit, but I'll try to be concise. Some of my walkthroughs tend to get long, but I'm going to try to stay focused here. And if you want a real hyper in-depth version of this, I recommend you also go check out the original Celestine walkthrough for the Max for Live version, which is functionally identical, same sound engine, same controls, just that this one has a new coat of paint and runs on an iPad. So we'll start over here in the time panel. This is a real-time granular device, so it's constantly listening and recording and playing back from a 1-bar buffer. And right now the move control is on, so it's slowly moving through the buffer. Takes 4 bars for it to get through, but we can turn this to manual, and then we can scrub ourselves like this. Or we can go back to the automatic move. And then we can adjust the typical granular parameters over here, size, density, spray. We can change the pitch like so. There's actually 2 pitch modes. This one is jumping in only perfect fifths and octaves. Or we can go to the pitch mode 1, which is just your standard semitones. And then we've got jitter, which gives just a little subtle pitch warbling, and the spread, which is much more extreme. Stereo just controls the stereo placement of the grains, and reverse controls the chance that any one grain will be played back in reverse. And then smooth just rolls off some of the top end. So with that covered, let's play around with the various modes that we've got right now. So Mosaic mode, it builds harmonic clouds by pitching grains into chordal intervals, like +7, +12, etc. Each with sort of a soft bloom. And we can shift through various palettes for different chord shapes. And then each one of these modes also sort of has a sub-mode, because there's this sync button down here which will spit out grains on the grid. So we'll turn on sync mode, we turn up the density because this controls how likely a grain is to fire on each grid division. And now we have this very different vibe. Less traditional granular, because we don't have a ton of grains happening at once, but each grain is firing on a specific subdivision, which I think is a nice thing to have. We can also ratchet them. So glide mode makes individual grains glide up in pitch, and we can adjust the distance that it glides here in semitones. And then the size sets the the size of the grain and also the length of that glide. And we can adjust the curve of the glide as well. Reverie plays all grains in reverse and adds a little extra wow and flutter to them all, so we end up with some things that can definitely sound ambient. And we'll test it again with the sync submode on. Next up is bloom. The idea here is that every triggered grain spawns a secondary ghost grain that is mixed lower, fades in slightly later, and maybe subtly detuned. For this one I like a higher density and size for more overlapping halos, if you will. And then you can adjust the jitter for a bit of thickness. And again, we'll just turn on the sync mode for a sec. The next mode is tide. So here, grains collectively swell and recede, almost like the way a wave crashes in on the beach. And yeah, the idea here is just to create something that's subtly breathing. I think the key parameter is size for this one. A long size makes it very ambient, and then the short size makes it almost like a tremolo. Next one is stars. This one's kind of inspired by the idea of, a night sky, constellation, stars. If you imagine that the grains in your buffer are placed on fixed star positions, and then we ignore where the playhead is, and then we just shift between these positions. Sort of a less granular idea, but just I think it's a way to get an interesting texture from your source material. We can also adjust the patterns here. And the last mode is orbit. So orbit has the grains orbit the right head. Let's turn off this widening effect. It just has a bit of a rotating, orbiting feel, where the grains are moving around the listener's head. Definitely better with headphones for this one. And again, this one is maybe less traditional granular, but let's say granular adjacent. That's all the grain modes, and this kind of brings me to the next section, which is the magic mode. If you've used any of my other devices, you may recognize this panel. It's sort of just a quick multi-effects section with various little sweeteners, just to push the sonic vibe of whatever you're working on. So we've got a chorus. We've got widening. We've got this one I'm calling drift. A little shimmer. Spread. A little echo. And swell. And then we've also got a dirt section here, so we've got wavefolding and bitcrusher, and then a mix to dial it into taste. I really like the way this wavefolding sounds with pitch shifted low stuff. And then we've got the bitcrusher. And then of course we have a little reverb at the end, because sometimes you just need reverb right away. And I think it can be subtle, but it can also be almost drone-like, especially if we add in a little echo. So that's pretty much the device, that Celestine. There are a couple differences from the original Max for Live version. One is we have this preset system, which we never had before, and I think that's definitely nice to have. You can, of course, save single presets, save banks of presets, share them with a friend, they can import them, that sort of thing. But the one thing I really, really enjoy is we have a randomize button. I always enjoy a plugin which has a randomizer. So just press it and everything changes. And I've definitely tried to tune the randomizer so it's maybe not truly random. It tries to give you sweet spots rather than total sonic madness. But you will still occasionally get total sonic madness. Sometimes that's what we want. Yeah, so that is Celestine, and it is $5.99 USD in the App Store for the first 2 weeks, and then it will go up to $9.99 USD. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get some musical inspiration from it. If you're new here, my name is Ian, and I've been making these effects and instruments for Ableton Live for the last couple of years, and I'm kind of broadening my horizons here. I'm releasing this for iPad OS. I'm working on a VST3 version as well, and I've got many other things in the works. More Max for Live stuff, more iOS stuff, more desktop stuff, and I feel very lucky to be here doing this. I think it's the perfect intersection of the things I really like: writing code, making music, making tools for musicians. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I have a toddler who's almost 3. He's the coolest dude in the world, loves tractors and trains, and it's cool that I get to write code, twist knobs, and then go down and play with tractors with him. My life it's very good, and I try to be grateful for that and appreciative of it. I'm rambling, so I will say thank you for watching this far in the video. I appreciate you very much. Oh, one more thing. I recently started a Discord server, so if you're into Discord, we would love to have you there. It's small right now, but I love the idea of a small community forming around this stuff. We can talk about music, life, whatever. Come say hi. Okay, so yes, thank you for your time, and I hope you're having a very nice day, and more from me soon. Goodbye.